Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Leia for Noobs. So I haven't done a ton of GL for Noobs squads, but since I recently acquired her on my small account, I have just been loving having this character. I think she's probably the best character in the game overall. If Galactic Legends are the best, I think she's probably the best Galactic Legend. She's probably the best character in the game. So this series we're going to be focusing on the kits, the mods, counters, who they beat, going to do some demonstrations, just general talk about how the team works together. But just fair warning, her kit is extremely long. I think it might be the longest in the game. If it's not, then it's up there. So the core of the team is just Leia, R2, and Drogan. And that makes it really easy for 3v3 to pick who to use. For 5v5, I am going to use that comp that you saw just now to talk about it. It's not going to be necessarily the best splits for 5v5 GAC because Captain Rex, if you have a Phoenix team, is going to work really well with them, and then 3PO and Chewie works really well with the CLS team. But considering the rest of the game as a whole, you know, TB, do Galactic Challenges, Squad Arena, Conquest, I want to talk about this lineup because number one, it's the best you can get with just her requirements. So this is from my main account. You see I have R9, Leia and R9, R2. But even on my GoTanks account, I am running this same comp on both accounts. My super endgame account, my but pretty new game account. Running the same comp in Squad Arena because I think it's like the best I have available at the moment. So that's why I'm going to go over this. So just keep in mind, 5v5 splits probably not the best. So we're going to be talking about the kits, starting with Leia and going through the rest. Maybe not focusing an extreme amount of time on Rex or 3PO and Chewie. Just fair warning, it's going to take a long time to talk about Leia's kits. So Leia, super long kits. Every ability is a book. So here's the leadership. We're going to start with this. There are so many independent clauses in this kit. There's just so many different things going on. And as with most GL leads, we start with some stat boost, plus 40 speed, and then some breakdowns for different roles. So just a theme of Leia's kit is different bonuses and penalties, or like offensive tools, against different roles, like support, attacker, and then healer and support lumped together. So for here, and this is awesome, non-scoundrel rebel attackers gain 25% mastery and 50% max health and max protection. So that's a lot of boost. That non-scoundrel, that's just trying to cut out Han and Chewie. That's basically what it's doing. And some others like Cara Dune, I think, is in there. Jedi rebel tanks gain 100% defense for 2 turns at the start of each encounter. Protection up 50% for 1 turn whenever they gain taunt. And then deal bonus true damage equal to 20% of their max health whenever using a basic ability against an enemy with protection up. That's very specific. Let us Cal has to protection up. I think we're trying to take on JMK. But the Jedi Rebel tanks are, I think, basically Old Ben and Kanan Jarrus, and that's pretty much it. Rebel allies take 25% reduced damage from out-of-turn attacks. That's nice. And are immune to max health reduction and plague. Very specific. Whenever enemies attack out of turn, non-scoundrel rebel allies, again not Han and Chewie, gain 1% mastery until the end of the encounter, and that really adds up. I mean, if there's a mass swarm, 5 attacks at a turn, 5% mastery, and this keeps going each time. At the start of each rebel ally's turn, dispel foresight and stealth from all enemies. That's very nice, and you know, I tend to remember the stealth, but the foresight I kind of forget, but that's really nice. Stealth and foresight not going to stick on the other team. Whenever enemies with less than 100% turn meter gain bonus turn meter, rebel allies gain 100% crit avoidance. Very nice. So that happens a lot. And Empire enemies can't gain bonus turn meter for 1 turn. So that's kind of, I have a feeling Imperial Troopers may have tested well against it, or maybe Palpatine Empire, and this shuts that down. Whenever a rebel ally has their turn meter reduced, they can't have their turn meter reduced again for 1 turn, so minimizing that effect. Excuse me. And whenever an enemy is revived, all rebel allies gain 10% turn meter. Like I said, tons of different clauses in here. Enemies inflicted with burning from a rebel ally can't recover health. And if burning is dispelled on an enemy, they take max health damage. So burning is going to come from Drogan and R2. Those are the 2 main characters baked into Leia's kit. Whenever a rebel ally inflicts an enemy with burning, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn. Again, R2 and Drogan. You want damage immunity? Do the burning moves. The first time a non-scoundrel rebel ally loses all their protection, they gain 2nd wind for 3 turns, which can't be copied. And that is kind of like a pseudo savior mechanic. When they would be reduced to 1% health, they spell the buff and recover half health and protection. And then here's the big one, short and sweet but powerful. All enemies and allies are immune to cooldown manipulation. So that's a big one. And that's the leadership. And next we got the unique, again, super long. And this first part is basically unique for R2-D2. At the start of battle, R2 gains 75% max health, max protection, offense, and potency. That's a lot till the end of the battle. And stealth for turn, and assist whenever Leia uses special ability, dealing 50% more damage. Another compelling reason to have R2. Damage R2 receives is decreased by 20% overall, and then rebel allies recover 10% health whenever R2 attacks at a turn. If all allies are rebels, at the start of a turn, Leia gains fearless. So this is a mechanic where it's like, it's daring you to hit her. It's daring you to hit other people. Like, you have to hit her to keep everything under control. If she didn't already have it until she receives damage, it can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. In Fearless, what it does is all allies are immune to expose and fear. All allies have plus 50% offense and tenacity. So much offense boost on in this kit. It's crazy. If she, where do we start off? Whenever an enemy's turn ends while Leia has Fearless, she gains 2% max health. All enemies lose 5% mastery and 15% defense, really punishing people in tenacity until the end of the encounter. Leia gains 4% ultimate charge. So it's interesting. She's the only one gaining max health from that, not the team. While she has Fearless, at the end of each of her turns, non-scoundrel allies gain 5% mastery till the end of the encounter. So, I mean, she's fast. She takes a lot of turns. That's a lot of mastery. And then Leia gains 4% ultimate charge. Leia can't gain Fearless if she has a taunt effect. So this is a reason that countering with JML, you want Jedi Revan to put buff immunity on her so she can't get Fearless. Or the marked so she can't get Fearless, because that's a taunt effect. At the start of her turn, all other Rebel allies recover health equal to 100% of the damage Leia received since her last turn. So it's kind of, you're screwed if you do and screwed if you don't. Like, if you are attacking her, everyone else is going to recover health and protection, health and or protection. If you attack other allies, they're going to get boosted and penalized because she had Fearless. Yeah, it's protection instead of health if they have flat. Whenever a Rebel attacker or Rebel support ally is dazed, they gain bonus protection 100% for one turn, so it really penalizes you for dazing them. Whenever an enemy is ambushed, well, that's part of her first special, all Rebel allies gain foresight for one turn. Whenever a Jedi Rebel tank uses an ability on their turn, Leia assists. So that's unique. Pretty long, not as long as the leadership, but a lot in there. And then her second unique, this is the easy one, just the generic GL one. Reduce damage from percent health effects, extra health and protection per relic level. Damage received is reduced by 30%, immune to stun effects, which includes fear, and immune to massive damage effects, do a lot less. So those are the uniques. Now for the abilities. And typically, the opening move is going to be the log roll. Anytime I decide to do something else, I usually regret it. And what this does is going to be an AoE to all enemies and do some kind of penalizing to them. But what you do is target your own ally. You dispel all debuffs on them, remove all their turn meter. Usually you want to use this on Drogan, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when we read his kit. Then you deal physical damage plus bonus true damage increased by 1% per turn meter removed from target other ally. So if you remove a lot of turn meter from someone on your team, like if they have 100%, it's going to be a lot more damage to the other side. Remove call to action from all allies, and then all Rebel allies gain call to action for 4 turns. Call to action is a really good buff. Let's just see the description for that. It's in CLS's kit. Ignores taunt effects during their turn and has plus 50% accuracy, crit chance, and crit damage. So the crit chance is actually the highlight for me. It makes non-critters really crit, because Drogan and R2 do special damage, at least R2 for some of his moves. And special damage dealers typically have less crit chance, so that really helps out. So you got call to action and 10% max health until the end of the encounter. On their next turn, so the ally you remove turn meter from, which is probably going to be Drogan, target other ally, gains 50% offense for their next ability. And if it is their basic ability, they gain an additional 2% offense for each percent of turn meter removed. So if you removed 100% turn meter, you're getting 250% offense between the two of these. Crazy. That's why people call Drogan's first turn basic a one-shot or annihilate sometimes. If the target ally defeats an enemy during their next turn, they gain 50% turn meter. Not bad, not a bad deal. Target other ally gains 150 speed and stealth for one turn. 150 speed, just kind of a consolation for removing all their turn meter and keeps them safe. And then here's the role-specific penalties I've referenced. Attackers gain crit chance down, crit damage down for 2 turns. I use this in Conquest a lot. This is like actually really useful because there's a lot of feats requiring these two debuffs. Healers and supports, you get potency down, tenacity down. Less compelling in my opinion. What tenacity down is nice. Then tanks, defense down, and vulnerable. Vulnerable means they will be crit automatically if they can. So yeah, you start with that move. This other special, this is what's going to put ambush and ambushed on people. So starting out, it's a single target move, deal physical damage plus bonus true damage equal to 10% of Leia's max health. Remove 20% turn meter and inflict a stack of ambush. If they didn't already have it, ambushed can't be copied or dispelled. So what ambush does, minus speed, and then gain additional stack upon receiving damage. So once you hit 6 stacks, you get ambushed, which is a lot better because it disables protection, including protection up and bonus protection. But I think if they already have bonus protection, they keep it, because that's just what I've observed in a lot of JMK battles. And then Rebel allies gain 10% mastery and 25% potency until the end of the encounter. So there's lots of little mastery boosts. You get a lot of mastery with Leia over time. And you can't even keep track of what's doing it. It's just like, it's happening constantly. This can't be evaded or resisted. And then all enemies get penalties based on their role. Attackers, daze for 1 turn. That's my favorite one. Healers and supports stagger for 1 turn, and attacks buff if needed for 1 turn. And all these are locked debuffs, so they're not going to be dispelled. Unless you have General Kenobi, which you can, for some reason, dispel stuff like that. So yeah, those are the specials. Now we got her basic, which is actually more of a special once you have the Zeta. It's a crazy good basic. So without the Zeta, it's just retribution for 2 turns for your whole team, whether it's Leia's turn or not. So if she assists or attacks or counters, retribution to everybody. On her turn, deal bonus true damage to target equal to 10% of the damage other Rebel allies received since her last turn. This is another penalty for not attacking her. Like if you're facing Leia, you attack, trying to kill the rest of her team, you go ham on Drogan or something, do tons of damage. Leia comes back around to her turn, does a basic, gonna do a lot more damage. This I've bit the bullet with this a lot. She takes out Jedi Revan when I'm trying to counter with Jedi Master Luke. It's just a big basic. Now the rest of it, the Zeta part, what makes it more of a special, I mean it's already a special anyway. Penalties and boosts based on roll target. I think tank and healer support is the best, but you know, they're all good. Attackers, dispel all buffs on target enemy, reduce their speed by 5 per buff dispelled until the end of the encounter. So if they have tons of buffs, a lot more speed reduction. Health and healers and supports, dispel all debuffs on all Rebel allies, equalize Leia's health and protection with the weakest other Rebel ally, then recover 20% health and protection. This is a huge deal, and this is why if you are countering her with Jedi Master Luke, I do not think you should bring a healer or support. I don't think you should bring Hoda or Jolie or Grandmaster Yoda, anyone like that is a healer support, because you could get her down to the smallest amount of health and protection. She basics the support on your team and heals all the way. She might not attack your support with a basic, but she might do it, and then you're screwed. And just the cleanse, it's a special. It's a multifaceted special. You have different options. It's crazy. Then tanks, call all other Rebel allies to assist and reduce the target enemy's max health by 5% per Rebel ally until the end of the encounter. And that includes her. It doesn't say other allies, so 25%. This is the best basic in the whole game. It's insane. And the cherry on top, the ultimates. Another long ability. So she's gaining ultimate charge. There's a lot of callouts in the kit. 4% ultimate charge when an enemy's turn ends, and she has fearless. 1% whenever Rebel allies deal damage while they have call to action. Another reason to start with the log roll and go call to action on everyone. So the offensive part of it, deal true damage to all enemies equal to 30% of Leia's max health. A big reason people mod for max health. There's other callouts to it in there. 90% against enemies who are ambushed, so triple damage against ambushed enemies. It is tons of damage when they have ambushed. That's the culmination of all those net debuff. Remove 100% turn meter. Inflict ambush on all enemies for 1 turn who don't already have it. If all allies are rebels, fracture all enemies until the end of Leia's next turn, or she is defeated. So she's the second character that can do fracture, and she does it to the whole enemy team. It's crazy. But unlike Thrawn, it doesn't last quite as long, but it basically takes the whole team, other than Galactic Legends, out of the battle for a little while. The healing part. All rebel allies recover 100% health and protection. Gain tenacity after 3 turns, which is a locked buff. And all other rebel allies gain 50 speed for 2 turns. Not bad for a full, complete heal with tenacity up. If this ability defeats an enemy, revive all defeated rebel allies and they recover full health and protection. All non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 30% mastery until the end of the encounter. So if you really need a revive, sometimes I try to make sure that there's someone with ambushed, because that maximizes the potential for someone to get killed from this ability, and then you revive everybody. All non-scoundrel allies gain 30% mastery until the end of the encounter. Other rebel allies gain additional 50 speed for 2 turns. So most of them are getting 100 speed. It can't be countered or evaded. So it is an amazing ultimate. It's one of the best in the game. Like, offensive, healing, restorative. It's just crazy. So that's her kit. As far as the Zeta order, so I think for the whole team, the Zeta order is going to start with her. So I think you start with the lead. Then you do unique, and I went over the whole big wordy thing. I'm not going to reread what the Zetas do as part of it, but I'm just going to say leadership, unique, and then probably the call to action, then Galactic Legend, then basic, and then ambush. And that's the order I did it on my alt account when I unlocked her. I had 3 Zetas to do right away, and I did these 3. Then the 4th one I did Legend, 5th Retribution, and then Rebel Ambush. So that's the order I did it in. Next, let's go. Let's do Drogan next, because he was built specifically for Leia. So first, let's talk about the interaction that leads to a large first turn basic. So this is his unique without his Zeta. Drogan has plus 50% potency. Whenever his turn meter is removed, Leia's log roll move, he recovers 20% protection and gains 60% offense for 1 turn, limit once per turn. So between that and with the extra offense boost Leia gives from removing the turn meter, it's a lot of extra offense. First time each encounter, Drogan uses coordinated shot, his basic. It deals 75% more damage, so it does so much damage once you get to it. The Zeta, well, actually, let me look at the basic first. So it's also has a Zeta. So without the Zeta, deal special damage to target enemy. It does not get more basic than that. But when you add the Zeta, if the leader ally and leader slot is a tank, i.e. Leia, this can't be evaded. If it's Drogan's turn, stun target enemy for 1 turn. If it's not Drogan's turn, the enemy's Empire, inflict offense down for 1 turn. So the biggest thing about the Zeta, though, is plus 50% damage. So it increases the damage multiplier. But in and of itself, it's not a super complicated basic. It just does a lot of damage. So you have the Zeta. At the start of the battle, Drogan gains Keen Stratagem until the end of the battle. Keen Stratagem, it is plus 25% offense and potency. Whenever an ally with Keen Stratagem uses an ability during their turn, Drogan assists, dealing 30% less damage. Whenever Drogan deals damage to an enemy, he and all allies with Keen Stratagem recover 5% protection. Stat gains from Keen Stratagem are doubled for Rebel allies, so it's 50% offense and potency for Rebel allies. At the start of each encounter, no, not that yet. Start of each encounter, if the ally in the leader slot is a Rebel tank, Drogan gains protection up 100% for 1 turn. So how do you give out Keen Stratagem to other allies? That's his special battle plan. It's not a Zeta, so we'll look at the full ability right away. Dispel all debuffs on target other ally and allies with Keen Stratagem. So if he's already passed it out, it's a cleanse for them too. Target other ally didn't already have Keen Stratagem, they gain until the end of the battle. Can't be. It's a locked buff. It stays forever. Call all allies with Keen Stratagem to assist Drogan. Target other ally and allies with Keen Stratagem recover 20% protection. So it's a nice heal for everybody. If target other ally is a rebel, they recover an additional 30% protection. So up to 50% protection recovery. This is why sometimes I will select someone that's hurting to use Keen Stratagem on to heal them. But All other things being equal, if everyone's at full health, say, I put her on R2 because he's going to be assisting a lot, doing a lot of damage, and Leia's damage isn't necessarily based on her offense. So my first pick for giving that Keen Stratagem is R2, and the longer the battle goes on, you pass around Keen Stratagem, and your whole team is a lot better off for it. His other special, his first special, the Torch ability, Fire Support. So it's a buff Dispel on the enemy, deal special damage to them twice. If they're already debuffed, deal special damage a third time. Inflict burning on target enemy for 2 turns, so that's going to get you the damage immunity through Leia's ability. And if target enemy was already in burning, inflict it on a random enemy that doesn't already have it. So this is just another thing, like his moves are simple, they're not super long-winded in their description, they just deal a lot of damage. So it's pretty nice. So his first turn, if you use the log roll with Leia, most of the time you want to do coordinated shot. If someone's really dying, I would do battle plan, and if you really need a dispel or something, I do fire support, but usually you want to do the basic to do the maximum amount of damage possible. It doesn't get ramped up quite as much against JMK because you can't remove his turn meter actually, but it's still pretty dang good. And that's Drogan. Now let's talk about R2. And R2 has a very old kit. He did not get a rework for Leia, but like the rework was kind of within Leia's unique. So let's look at the 2 uniques, which are largely their whole identity is the Zeta. But for this one, combat analysis, without the Zeta, when R2 is active, all allies gain 10% crit chance and accuracy. Not a whole lot. When you add the Zeta, whenever R2 is active and a light side ally scores a critical hit, dispel all debuffs on them. I think that's the better one for R2 on the Leia team. Very strong. Number crunch without a Zeta. At the start of the battle, R2 gains 10% max protection for each droid, 10% offense for each GR ally, 10% max health for each rebel. So that's the best one to me, getting a lot of extra max health. That's what he's getting for rebels who are on the Leia team, and 10% potency for each resistance ally. Another bonus from having 3PO and Chewie, 3PO and Chewie is a droid, so you get a little extra protection for him. And C-3PO also would do that too. But the Zetas are nice too. I mean, the Zeta for this one, all allies with his tags, Droid, Galactic Republic, Rebel, or Resistance, gain 10% of R2's max protection, offense, max health, and potency until R2 is defeated. So nice little stat boost for the team. Improvise is, I love these old simple kits. Special damage to everyone, burning for 3 turns, can't be evaded. So this is what's going to get him damage immunity, especially important if you're facing Rey or something and a whirlwind's coming in. You can get damage immunity, protect yourself, but you could also just stealth everybody. In a mirror match, this is essentially useless because everyone shrugs off stealth, or Leia gets stealth off of everybody. The target ally gains foresight and advantage for 2 turns. All other allies gain stealth, and R2 gains 40% turn meter. So against everyone except Leia or Jabba, actually too, because he gets rid of stealth, you can just pick who they're going to target. I most of the time make it just Leia. They have to hit Leia, just because the amount of damage that's going to be done to the rest of the team outweighs the benefits a lot of times of Leia's kit wanting people to attack others, so I am trying to protect them. And then the basic, it's 80% chance to stun for 1 turn. Does 30% more damage to burning targets. And that basic's going to be used a lot from assists, because anytime Leia uses special, R2 assists. So that is the core 3 with their abilities. For the Zetas, I would, after Leia's Zetas, I would actually go Drogan's Zeta here before Leia's last one. So if you have 5 Zetas on Leia, I would add that, and then also add the basic for the 7th Zeta overall for this team, just for all the extra damage. Then I'd go with R2's combat analysis, and then Leia's Rebel ambush, and then number crunch. So that's a core 3. We're gonna just put their Zetas ahead of everything else, and the other 2 are really gonna vary. But let's briefly talk about Rex and 3PO. So a large portion of their kit is not really operative just because they're not with Phoenix, and then 3PO and Chewie has a Galactic Legend leader. But Captain Rex, we'll look at it without the Zeta. Captain Rex gains 25% crit chance, 50% max health, and 40% tenacity whenever he assists for other Phoenix allies. If you have Kano on the team, that matters, but here it's not gonna happen. And then the Zeta adds 25% minus 20% damage penalty for his assisting. Whenever a clone this is all not that applicable. So, or well, whenever a clone trooper or Phoenix ally is inflicted with a debuff, he gains 5% turn meter per debuff, and all allies recover 5% health protection. So that's applicable. He's getting turn meter for himself, getting debuffed, and then healing people. The best thing about him, I think, on this team is this AoE. Tenacity down on everyone, daze on everyone, and offense down on everyone. So why it's in two different clauses. Tenacity down and daze is before the damage. So that happens, then he damages people and inflicts offense down. So you're always going to have tenacity down there already to inflict offense down, which I don't think necessarily happens for daze since it's simultaneous. Clone Trooper and Phoenix allies gain 5% turn for each debuff inflicted, and all allies, no matter who they are, gain crit chance up and offense up for 2 turns. So very, very nice. This special, I use it less. Deal physical damage to target enemies, stun them for 1 turn. I think that's the Zeta. And you don't need that Zeta, so I'm not going to talk about it. If this attack scores a critical hit, all allies recover 15% health and protection. So that's something to think about. But a lot of times I just opt for the basic. It's physical damage twice. If it scores a critical hit, dispel all debuffs on Captain Rex and another random clone trooper or Phoenix ally. So it's mainly just it can cleanse him. But it's 2 instances of damage, which is nice. Chewpio and Chewie. His unique. So the whole thing is not active, but a lot of it is. So what's not active is this stat sharing. Like if the leader's non-Galactic Legend Rebel, he shares tons of stats, but this clause is completely inactive. What is active and what is also worth it to have him anyway, whenever another Rebel ally uses an ability, basic or special, 3PO and Chewie is called to assist, dealing 30% less damage. Once per turn. If they were defeated, 3PO and Chewie are revived for 50% health and protection whenever another ally is revived. Again, if someone's going to be revived, it's from the ult, and usually everyone is anyway, so that doesn't matter too much. That's the Omega. You don't even really need it. And then while enemies are blinded, they have minus 50% tenacity and can't attack out of turn. So it's like a mini half daze. That's this ability. This is 95% of the time. The opener, when you get to his turn, Mass Buff Dispel. 15% protection recovery for allies. Advantage for 2 turns. Dispel all. We already got. Oh, dispel all debuffs on 3PO and Chewie. I actually didn't realize it did that, so he cleanses himself. And then it's Buff Dispel from everybody. And Blind for 2 turns. Can't be evaded. So that's super nice. Say Rex went before him. They have Tenacity down already. Maximizes the chance of the Blind being landed. And then that's a nice penalty for Blind too. Unless Tenacity can't attack at a turn. His Zeta and his special. So without the Zeta, do physical damage to all enemies. He gains 10% offense to the end of the battle when it defeats an enemy. With the Zeta, he deals an additional damage up to 5 additional times for each enemy that has been defeated. So this, after all the mastery gain and after a couple people are dead, this leads to 3PO and Chewie doing insane damage. This is really valuable, particularly in Galactic Challenges, where it says defeat 3 or more enemies in the same turn, because we see that feat a lot. This is how I get it done on my small account. You kill 2 people, and then you have this ability, and then it wipes them out. So you really want to save that until there's a couple people dead already. And then the basic is simple, evasion down for 2 turns. So that's all the kits. That's a lot of them. Zeta-wise for these 2, I would definitely say 3PO and Chewie's is the one to get. I don't think Rex's you need either of them, because they're mainly about his Phoenix and Clone Trooper team. So with that out of the way, I would normally talk about relic order, but this particular comp, these are the requirements to unlock her. At a little bit lower levels for each of them. R8 is required, R7, R7, R7. So they're all going to be in relics anyway, and then Leia is top priority to relic as soon as you unlock her. So now let's talk about mods. We're going to look at my mods, then the mods are top players on SoulGuide.gg. Oh, and last thing before we go into mods, actually, I forgot to come back to Drogan's Omicron. I think it's a pretty good Omicron, decent. I have it applied on both my main account and my small account. Drogan has plus 50% max health. Just right off the bat, that's nice. That's additive with like the bonus from Leia. So Leia, if Leia gives him 50% max health, he has this. It's just plus 100% max health total. It's not like one of them applies and then the other applies to that increased amount. So it is a little less than it might seem in that light, but the rest of it. So at the start of the battle, if the ally's leader slot is a rebel tank, i.e. Leia, Drogan is immune to ability block. It's nice. At the start of each of his turns, he dispels all debuffs from another random ally and recovers 25% health and protection. Also nice. At the start of the battle, if the ally in the leader slot is a rebel fighter support, so Saw, whenever Drogan scores a critical hit, all rebel allies gain 10% turn rate. So that's nice. I mean, and I see plenty of people combine him with Saw and Luthen, so using Drogan instead of Kyle Katarn. So it's just a nice, it's an overcard I would recommend getting, yes. So Leia, I went, and a lot of people go with speed and health. As we went through in the kit, a lot of things have to do with her max health, especially damage from the ult. So lots of speed, health, and that's mainly it. That's mainly the things I focused on. R2, offense and health. I really could just share some of his stats, and he attacks a lot. So I plus 145 speed, up to 91,000 health. He is R9, so keep that in mind. And then special offense, physical offense. Pretty decent amount added. I have offense primaries where I can, and then health primary. Calibrate this. Well, I don't have enough stuff, but it's pretty good. And then Drogan. So I went with crit damage for him because there's so much offense boost in the kit. Adding a little bit of extra offense isn't a big deal. You want to add to the... There's three main modifiers for damage. There's offense, there is crit damage, and armor penetration. So, or defense penetration. So there's so much offense poured into Drogan from Leia's kit, and on that first basic, that I think it's better to do crit damage. There's not a ton of instances where I think crit damage is better, but like this is one of them. So, I mean, you want to add as much offense as you can, but crit damage set, crit damage triangle, really good stuff. Rex, I have a modded for Phoenix mainly, just, you know, survivability. He can use anything. It's just mainly speed. It's I have plus 175 speed. It's pretty fast. All these are 5 rolls of speed. 3P and Chewie, I don't know what's going on with this modding. I don't know why I used it. I think maybe it was just what I had left over. I got some health, some protection, a lot of speed, crit damage, a lot of tenacity. Well, the tenacity is good because you don't want him to be dazed or stunned. Can't be helped in all cases, but you know, it's mainly tenacity modding, but this one, crit damage, it's got a lot of tenacity there, and this one is just kind of an outlier for the whole build. I don't think many people use this specific setup, but that's what I use for them. Those are my mods. Alright, so here we are on Swigga.gg. This is looking at the top 1,000 Kyber players in Swigga. It's pretty much Kyber 1. Most people are using speed and health sets. Is used by 89% of the top 1,000. And while there is an argument to be made for like maximizing health, you wanted to take turns, and that first turn is crucial in some instances. So I think the speed health is the way to go, and I think that this clearly bears that out. Speed and health on the arrow is interestingly more split. I think since it's so dominant for speed, it would be more dominant on the arrow too, but you know, only 56% are going speed. Health, not a bad option too. Well, actually, never mind, I take that back. So with the speed set and health set, you're not going to get extra speed somehow from health sets, but with this arrow, there are, like, the best mods are health primaries with tons of speed on the secondary. So that's probably a lot of these. So for most people, I think you should stick with speed and just try to get as much health as you can. Triangle, 95% health. Circle, 98% health. Cross at 95% health. So I think you see the pattern. Very, very cut and dry. Speed and health. Drogan. So most people are using offense and crit chance, but for the reasons I lay out, I don't think that's the best way to go. He gets so much offense from the boost. Well, I guess there is an argument. So crit damage only matters when he actually crits, right? And against a lot of teams, especially JMK, you're not going to crit all the time. So there is the argument for offense, but the maximum possible output, I think, is with the crit damage set. So I'm in the 2% here that use that. That's crazy. I thought it'd be more people, but I think it makes sense to do crit damage for him. But yeah, 50% are using offense and crit chance, 28% offense and health. So the applicable thing is people like offense sets. Speed on the arrow, probably 3 out of 4 speed, 1 out of 4 is offense, and not a significant amount of anything else. Most people do crit damage, 4% and offense at 15%. Health is pretty dominant on the struggle. Eye protection, just because that's what I had, and I didn't care too much either way. And then offense dominant on the cross. R2D2. Most Kyber 1 players have him modded for Leia now. There's not really a significant other use for R2D2. So 38% are using offense and health, 20% using all health, 12% speed to health. But I'd like the offense and health because you're sharing his stats, so it increases the offense for the full team. A lot of people doing speed, or not that many compared to normal arrow statistics. 49% speed, less than half. 33% health, 13% offense. So I think all those, as long as you have a lot of speed secondaries, those work. But if you don't have speed secondaries, I wouldn't go with that. Health is dominant on the triangle, but offense is up there too. Health super dominant on the circle. Health more than half on the cross, but then offense too. So it's pretty even. It's pretty close to what they have on the triangles. So most people are going for health. Some people are going for offense there. And Captain Rex, I mean, this is just like, it's just speed. Like, you may want speed, 98%, crit damage. This is pretty even split, except for crit damage is a little bit better than everyone else, all the other stats. Health and protection, little favoritism towards health, but a lot of people use potency, and then there's health pretty even split. So he's pretty wide open. 3PO and Chewie, most people are using offense and tenacity. Well, it's 26%, so it's a pretty thin slice to be the majority, or the plurality rather. Crit damage and crit chance is 16%. All tenacity is 8%. Tenacity and crit damage is 7%. People use speed. I'm surprised that so many people use speed, because he's I mean, I use speed on him, but like, he is assisting all the time, so his damage output is not dependent on him taking turns. So I think there is actually more of an argument for offense than what's shown here. Crit damage pretty dominant on the triangle, but offense is there too, 25%. Protection health, more people are using protection. And then the cross, most people are using tenacity. They don't want him dazed or stunned. And then offense is second there. So those are the pro mods. A lot of them pretty close to what I have, but some of them pretty different. So now that we understand how it works, it's time to ask ourselves, what can you beat with Leia? Or what are people using Leia to beat? So to filter, I actually removed Kyber entirely from consideration. I'm looking at a rhodium, chromium, and bronzium, because I'm trying to remove datacrons from the equation without super filtering everything. I don't want to be no datacron matches considered, but Kyber has more of the players that have super special current datacrons, and there are rebel datacrons right now, which kind of skew things. So I just want to look at things without datacrons being a heavy factor. So GLs versus GLs. 90% chance, well, let's filter by the lineup I was using, actually. Chewie. So not as many instances overall for everything, but so against Jabba, they have the harder time, 56%. I'd say that's probably the hardest GL for them to counter, but everything else is pretty good. So just adding the lineup I picked, I saw the numbers for Jabba go down, but everything else go up. So JMK, this is kind of a standard lineup, 95%. Slicker, 93%. Gungans, 100%. Rey, not the best lineup, but that's 99%. Mirror, 93%. Kind of a mirror. This old Ben and Captain Rex. Malgus, 100%. The question is more so, what can't they beat? So Traya, 98%. Cass, 98%. Reva, they have a hard time. So Reva and Jabba, those are two you want to be careful against. Starkiller, easy. Lord Vader is pretty easy. Slicker, JML, pretty easy. I mean, JML is actually one of the counters for her, but going the other way, it's a lot easier to manage because you need to be behind the wheel of JML and know what you're doing. Various JMK lineups. So when you add gas in there, it drops it a little bit to 80% because gas prevents crits from out-of-turn attacks, which is a lot of what's happening there. He can increase cooldowns, but he's just a really good character. This is skewed. This is from a Datacron, so Plo Koon, don't ignore that. So Rey, let's add Ben at least. And it's not like 100% on all these comps, but it's still pretty high 80s. So she is really good, in a word. She's very good. So for defense, let's look at Captain Rex and 3PO and Chewie as well, just because that is what I've been talking about. And there's gonna be fewer instances. And maybe I'll just leave it like this because that's the most common comp. What can beat Leia? So this is also filtered by not Kyber. So this is arguably less skilled players, but it's less Datacrons at play. A little better than a coin flip for JMK. It's only 70% for Sith Eternal and Bane. So like, you use Sith Eternal and Bane, you gotta have a compelling reason to do that because they're both so good, and still only 70%. Looks like Bane does better without Sith Eternal, so when Bane's calling the shots, maybe Bane, Sith Eternal leader is better. Slicker, 33%. What you want to do with Slicker, so the main counter, and people don't have it as much in these leagues. So let me momentarily switch here to see what people have. The main thing you want to do is armor a Geonosian Brute Alpha. The reason being, you want armor to get off her Beskar and get to Slicker. Hopefully 3 stacks, and Geonosian Brute Alpha is a pre-taunt, and it's a disposable character that if it falls under half health, then you get the 3rd stack of Beskar ingot and you pass it off. Thrawn increases the chance to 60%, but in any case, it's not super reliable. It's just like, if you don't have any other choice, that's what you go for. But people don't really have armor outside of Kyber anymore. Jabba, even though Leia has a hard time with Jabba, Jabba also has a hard time with Leia. 39% not compelling. Forget about Plo Koon, that's not active anymore. Reva, 56%. So they each have a hard time with each other. It's just like, it's a tough matchup for either of them. Bane with various people is good. That's a Mon Mothma lineup. JML, so this is my choice counter. And what I use is Jedi Knight Luke. So see, these are low numbers, but that's because everyone uses Hermit Yoda. I have tried and argued for people not to use Hermit Yoda, but they still do. They are still addicted to using him. What I think the best is, so Plo Koon's not active. I'm looking for him now. I think the best, okay, and Jolie, gosh, what's wrong with people? The best 5th is Mace Windu. And what on earth are people doing? They are not using Mace Windu. That is that is offensive to me. Okay, let's go to Kyber. People know more with it. Still people aren't using Mace Windu? I don't get it. Well, that's because of Plo Koon. Maybe if I change... Gosh, maybe if I change the season. So let's look at... I'll figure it out. Alright, well I tried to go this season before the Plo Koon run, but still there's not a ton of instances of people doing that. However, this is a no-brainer for me if you know what you're doing. I mean, the single instances on these different comps, it's working, but like, just people aren't doing it. So it's expensive, and I don't expect everyone to have this. I mean, most people don't, but just for the record, a good counter. You know, JML, you got Jedi Luke, you got Jedi Revan to Mark Leia. Cal Kestis is just great. And then Mace, what's best about him? He's dispelling stealth, and he's inflicting shatter points, giving protection up. Foresight. Let's just collect the Republic allies. But shatter point's a big deal. He can ability block on his basic. That's another big thing. So you call him assist ability, keep Leia permanently ability blocked, and it's just amazing. Really good counter. So most of the counters are you know, kind of iffy at best. A lot of them are Datacron dependent, so let's get rid of these selections. Okay, what else is good? Not too much. Yeah, Lord Vader's only 2%. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do. If you don't have a mirror or you run JML, it's one of the best defensive teams out there. If you have Reva and a Special Cron, it's better, but they're really good. Suffice it to say, not too many counters to Leia. So now time for the fun part, or at least my favorite part, the demonstration. Now it's hard to find a good spot to demonstrate. I can do some squad arena battles, and I probably will because it's a Galactic Legend. But there's always Datacrons that kind of make things a little different. But here I am in a Galactic Challenge, a neutral one, just trying to demonstrate without any specific modifiers. I don't have any mercenaries on this team. That's the modifier for this, so that helps. So, starting. Kind of a generic setup. No particular reason I wouldn't do a log roll, so I'm going to use it, target Drogan. And I also want to pick who I'm targeting because R2 is going to assist and stun someone. So it looks like Moff is going up first, so I'm going to remove Terminator from Drogan. And there we go. Actually, we're not doing too much damage yet, so that's good. That helps us have room to grow. I usually just kind of spam the burning, but it's not the best idea. Maybe you want to save it for when you need damage immunity. So let's do day or blind. Let's stun Stormtrooper so he doesn't taunt. And let's put this on him off. You're really not doing too much damage. Oh, we do have Demoralize. That's part of it. So here we go. Gonna use the basic because I have no reason to heal someone or torch someone. So let's see how much we do on PS. 286,000. That is with Demoralize. Just to remind people, Demoralize is minus 50% offense and minus 25% quick damage. Next turn, I want to go ahead and start spreading the buff. So I go to R2 because I have no compelling reason to use it somewhere else. Now I am up to Leia's turn and she has basic available. So here's where you would normally make some decisions too. So if you're really trying to gun down a tank, you would use the basic there and get the mass swarm. However, right now, you know, I'm trying to take care of the threats before I get to the tank. So we got a support is Moff Gideon. It also shows you too. So it has this icon here, roll support. So you don't have to memorize what everything is. It's always going to be popping up this tank, this attacker. I think I'll actually attack Death Trooper because I don't need to cleanse anything. So, you know, take out Death Trooper once. Well, they have a bunch of rebuffs, so let's just come back. I don't think this... Okay, it does do extra instances even though everyone's still over there because I have gun skills. So let's stick with it. Okay, now we have gotten rid of Demoralized. And let's do the ultimate, see how much it does on them. I'm gonna try to catch it, but it's hard to see. Slow motion. 111,000. That's pretty good. It's 30% of her health, so she's got over 300,000 health. Gosh, I hate how they like design it so slow. Like that was slow motion. That was not normal one times. It shouldn't be a one-time speed. And in addition to this, I'll probably do a squad arena battle. So we got the demonstration and neutral ground. Oh, and here I'd spread this. Probably Chewpio and Chewie is who I give it to next because he's attacking all the time. There we go. That's just a generic run-through of a battle with Leia. And I guess the best thing in squad arena would probably be to do a... is that a right way of saying it? I don't know. Would be doing a mirror match. So here, this player has the same comp that I've been using. They have proposed, which is annoying. I'll use the same setup. I'm not gonna use Fulcrum because that's what I'm using right now because it's the best Mystic Speed and Datacron, but we're not gonna go with that. I'll just try to match what they have her post and extra health and protection. But so this Leia is the 531. I believe I'm faster with mine. I'm close to 560, 565. So yeah, we'll see how this works in a mirror match because we get to see how it works on defense as well. So I'm already going to damage Leia with my AoE, so I don't need to target her. Let me just target R2 because he will assist Leia. So let's just try to stun him. It didn't work, even though he has tenacity down, but he gets the stun on me. Typical. As long as we're doing AoEs, we don't need to target Leia, but we really want to make sure we're taking care of that Fearless. So see, the Fearless keeps popping up over and over again. I'm just going to do a basic because really have I can't stun her. I don't really have a reason to do that other move. So let's do the Dispel. Most of the time, that's my opening move. Since they got dazed, they got protection up for a turn. See, Drogan still has it. This I do like to put it on Leia because her protection is the most important to take out. So here's the problem. Drogan has all these buffs nerfing his damage and he's got blind. So I'm not going to do the basic to start. I'm going to cleanse, and I'm still not sure if I don't think the basic big damage count. That might be extra damage from the assist. Like usually I think you have to do the basic itself. Okay, so he's stunned, so maybe I want to target a support. R2 has Stagger, so let me do that. Cleanse off Drogan, there we go. So I have a lot more ult than her, because I am trying to more intentionally target her. She's just all over the place. Here there's Retribution, I don't like that buff, so let me just do Burning to Dispel. And here, I don't think I have a reason, I don't really need anything cleansed, so no reason, nothing to do other than call the Mass Swarm on Leia, and there she's dead. And it's easy to go from there. I'll still be choosy about what I'm doing, but it's just rip it all, even though R2 will get damage. So it's important to remember that it does a constant amount across every enemy. Like, it's not a variable amount, and it's not a total pool spread out amongst everybody like Rey. Like, it feels like Rey's ultimate sometimes, but unlike Rey, with Rey, if there's one enemy left, they're taking the whole amount of the damage pool. It's not like that. If there's one enemy left, they're going to take the same amount of damage as they would if there was 5. Now here I have a massive AoE. That was a lot of damage. Didn't kill everything completely, but it was quite a loss. Passing through Chewpio and Chewie, start spreading that buff around. In long battles, I end up getting pretty much everyone with that buff, and it's pretty dang nice. But that's Mirror. I think that's probably the best demonstration to show because we get to see it on each side of things. And that's going to do it for this one. Leia for noobs. I think she's the best Galactic Legend. I also think she's the best for a brand new player to get. She was the newest Galactic Legend when I started going for her. She's not anymore, but that still has not changed. Galactic Legend Ahsoka is way too hard to get and not even as good. So, and she doesn't need a conquest unit. That's the best thing. Whatever her lifter or the character designed for her is one of her requirements. So, super friendly. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and see you next one.